In this section, you will learn to make best kind of notes so that you can revise them easily and retain the information for a longer duration. You will learn to make the notes according to the trend of the exams. Now a question arises that what type of notes should be made so that these can be helpful to retain the material and avoid the wastage of time. The answer cannot be ready-made. It is a requirement of the exam and the material you want to memorize that decide the strategy of making the notes. Now we will study different kinds of notes and their advantages and disadvantages. So let us start with the conventional type of notes. Many students follow this pattern of making notes. In these type of notes, you note down everything from the textbooks. You never make any symbol for the important points. These type of notes can be said to be a copy of your textbook. To make such kind of notes is just a waste of time. When you copy down these notes from textbooks, you are concerned about finishing them as soon as possible. You may not have interest in knowing what you are writing while copying. These type of notes can be called wastage of time in a true sense. Remember that whatever activity you do in studies, and if you're not able to reproduce in the exam, it's just a waste of time. You may spend hours to make these type of notes, but if you're not able to retain them, then it's a waste of time. Unless it's compulsory to make these notes, you should avoid making them. Sometimes it's compulsory in the class to make such notes so that students improve their handwriting and their speed. There may be some other reasons which may force the student to make such type of notes. In this situation, you have to keep in mind three things. Number one, try to improve your handwriting while making these notes. Number two, try to improve your writing speed. And number three, try to retain or understand what you are writing. Sometimes teachers dictate notes to the students. In these notes, they leave the unnecessary things and point out only the important things. These notes are a bit better than those just discussed. The outlook of such notes can be just highlighting the important points. The outlook should be with respect to the textbook. In these notes, only the important things are noted down. In these type of notes, you have to express the material in the proper organized form. You have to arrange the material so that it is properly retained in your long-term memory. Some kind of material is easy to organize by this method, while for others, you have to organize it by your own imagination. Let's take an example. Minerals can be divided into two parts, metals and stones. Metals can further be divided into three parts, rare, common and alloys. Stones can further be divided into two parts, precious and masonry. Rare minerals are platinum, silver, gold. Common minerals are aluminium, copper, lead and iron. Alloy minerals are bronze, steel and brass. On the other hand, precious stones are sapphire, emerald, diamond, ruby. Masonry stones are limestone, granite, marble and slate. To memorize this material, one easiest diagram can be made, just shown to you, and it helps to organize the material and retain properly. Notes in the form of flowcharts. This technique of making a notes is based on the fact that our brain stores information easily in the form of the connections or the linear stories. The simplest example of such connections is the stories, novels or movies. There is a connection between the two adjoining events. The next event has a relation with the previous one. These connections help to memorize the things in well sequential form. You rarely revise these stories, even then you can recall them properly. In this kind of notes, you have to express the material in the form of stories, but in a different way. Many kind of the text you study are already in the such form. For example, non-medical subjects, where all the material is in such form. Once you have understood the concept, you retain it properly. You never memorize the sums of mathematics. You have to follow certain rules to find the solution. If your theme starts in the linear form, then you can draw it into two branches and then go in your own rhythm. Try to make the notes in the linear form. If there is a break in the flow, then try to fill up the gap from the imaginary event. If due to some material there is a break in the flowchart, then leave that material and write that at the side in the column of the important material. The main difference between the diagrammatic and flowchart notes is that in the former, you just draw an outlook, whereas in the later, there is a flow of ideas that make them more memorable. There may or may not any kind of flow in the diagrammatic type of notes. Some tools for making these notes memorable. Number 1, try to add the pictures to the notes so that they can easily remembered. For example, instead of writing the physical exercises, draw a picture of a man who is doing physical exercises. Any event or sentence that can be visualized must be drawn in its pictorial form. Number 2, try to add a unique and new picture in each step. Number 3, categorization of the material is explained in the chapter revision. You can use the categorization technique to categorize the material into different categories, different types, so that you can spend time accordingly.